I was trying to figure out how to categorize these books as like a theme for this video because I read a bunch, okay? I read Kang's Human Acts, I read Toni Morrison, The Bluest Eye, I read Reckless by Elsie Silvers, and I also then read Mrs. Dalloway by Virginia Woolf. And I was like, how do I categorize these books? You know, there's Nobel laureates, there's smut, there's, you know, Virginia Woolf. So how do I organize that? And I'm like, all written by women. This is just a book vlog for the girls, should we say. This was honestly quite an intense month of reading, month and a bit of reading. When you're reading people like Kang, when you're reading people like Toni Morrison, they're both Nobel laureates and their content is heavy. One of them is about race in the US and about children, and it's got molestation and like rape in it, and then another one is about violent suppression of students and mass graves and souls and again torture and abuse. Like that's heavy. And then I also like read some smut. The smut was cowboy romance, and it was to like palate cleanse from like this situation, and then I decided to follow reading that with Virginia Woolf. I read Virginia Woolf because her book Mrs. Dalloway is set in the middle of June, and that's when I was reading it. So yeah, a little bit of an odd mix. This list would make so much more sense if I just, you know, didn't admit to reading cowboy smut. But here's the thing, if there's one thing I would like to think I could inspire in you, it's the realization that you can just read whatever you want. So if you want to read cowboy smut, that is your prerogative. The same way if you want to read the really dark stuff that gives you nightmares. Genuinely, Human Acts gave me nightmares. That's a testament to her writing, I guess. Anyway, let me know what you're currently reading and do enjoy the vlog.
I mean, this bakery is all...
This street is so cute. I've just never been here. It's like right behind High Street Ken. Yeah, let's just go that way.
Nice one.
I've lived here for like what? Like 9 years, 8 years, and it just does not... This just does not get old. Ever. I haven't been here before. It's so cute. Get your hand off my butt.
Right there.
I need a nice screen. Coming to Mum and Dad's, because they have a kitchen table at which I am sewing, but it's chucking it down. Oh my god. Yeah, I will not be walking home. Oh my god. But this is it's just like a sheet of water. It's just, that's crazy. I'm making a little dress. I'm doing quite well. This is, what's in Paris? It's so cute. I was like, oh, cute little summer dress with ruffles. Rain. Love it. It's June, but like, who cares, right? Also, last night I finished reading Human Acts by Kang, which I know I haven't really like dipped in to tell you about because it was incredibly intense. It was very, very good. It's a very, very well-written book. I can understand why she has a Nobel Prize. People don't win Nobel Prizes for specific books. By the way, it's more for like a body of work. I completely understand why she has it. It was very intense. I've spent the last few days like Googling a lot about like politics, and especially in South Korea, and you know, why does the 20th century have so many dictatorships? Like, why is there so much like a military rule? Because it happens like everywhere. So I spent a lot of time looking into that. It reminded me a lot. Oh my god. So I did a module on genocide in my undergrad. It was the Holocaust in Rwanda. I'm Belgian, so I felt like there is some kind of moral responsibility to at least know what happened in Rwanda. Again, all of that stuff is very intense. The one that I still cannot shake from my mind, like really ever, is The Shadow of Imana by
by Veronique Tadjo. The other really famous one is We Regret to Inform You That Tomorrow We'll Be Killed With Our Families by Philip Gorovich or something like that. There's a lot of interesting stuff about as well why a lot of accounts of Rwanda's genocide are written by foreigners, not very many by Rwandans themselves. Yeah, that's a total aside. Basically, a lot of human acts, it's about the military's violent suppression of a student protest and uprising that was also led by like labor unions in the 80s. The city is called Gwangju. I think that's right. I hope that's and how they just shot them. And then it's the classic military playbook of if there are no bodies, it didn't happen. So then, they take all the bodies, they take them out of morgues, they take them out of hospitals, they pile them up in mass funeral pyres and then just bury them. This is something that also reminded me hugely of In Civil War by Alex Garland. That is a phenomenal film, by the way. It got review bombed hugely because a lot of hoorah Americans wanted to watch it for a glory war film. I think they wanted it to be Black Hawk Down or something. This film is not military propaganda like that one. It's a good movie, but that one, It reminded me of the scene with Jesse Plemons, that's his last name, where he is a soldier, stood guard while they are digging a mass grave. That is one of the most chilling scenes I've ever seen in any film, and it kind of haunts me, and that was very much what I kept seeing when I was reading Human Acts. It is just such an excellent book, but it is incredibly brutal. It is incredibly unflinching, and it is incredibly intense, and it's very, very graphic. It's the kind of thing that I feel obviously I don't know enough political history about Korea, and obviously I'm obviously not Korean, but in terms of how it treats it with dignity, and it feels like it does it, a bit more justice than the government has done it. So I think it's, there's a lot of these arguments about testimony, what right do you have to tell this story? But then also, you can have historical facts, but having fiction which allows you to navigate the emotions of it are also incredibly important. It's devastatingly written, but it is incredibly, incredibly good. So it's one of those that I'm do I recommend this? Because it is so... There's a reason I read it really quickly was because I was I kind of want to just make sure that this is done because this is so much. But I do really recommend it. It's really, really good. But holy hell, So it was the kind of thing I kept thinking about, when people are don't make reading political. Grow the fuck up. Who is here being I don't want to make reading political? I'm well, then retreat to your fucking fairy smut. You cannot possibly think that reading is not political. That's crazy. I'll leave politics out of reading. I'm what it's how can you possibly separate the two? And all the best literature is things that provide social commentary in one way or another. It boils my fucking piss when people say that, and people kept saying that around the US election as well, which is just crazy, especially when states trying to ban books from libraries. That's just crazy. And it's just so important to read, and it's so important to read widely, and it's very important to read stuff like this, especially if you do live in the West, because I think we are at a point where we're but the government would never do that to us. They would, and they have, and governments continue to do stuff like this. What was it, last year there were student protests in Bangladesh about a really archaic way of giving civil servant jobs to people, and you know what they did? They blacked out the internet and they shot at protesters. So these things absolutely do happen. They still happen. Government wouldn't do that to us. During the Black Lives Matter protests in the US, they were shooting rubber bullets into the crowd. People lost eyes. That's just a fraction away from just shooting them normally. The idea it wouldn't happen here. It would. It might. Watching Civil War, it's so poignant for that. It's why that film is so excellent, because it does happen, and it's entirely possible of happening here. And if you pretend it's never going to happen here, that sets the stage for it being allowed to happen. Oh dear. Civil War is a very good film. Human Acts is devastatingly beautiful, but it's beautiful in that sense of like, it's very well crafted. It does not romanticize. It is just horrific. Like it's horrific. And you know, I think Han Kang is somebody who does wield her pen as if it is a sword. It very much feels like a knife, and to be able to do that with words is crazy. It's an incredible novel. It's 200 pages. It's not very long. You will read it quickly. I read it quickly. Some of you, I'm sure, are more than capable of reading it in a day, but it's heavy. It's very heavy, and I think it's very important to remember that people do suppress these kind of things. They suppress media, they suppress history, they try and change the facts, they try to change the facts to fit certain narrative. You know, it's very much like the whole like Tiananmen Square massacre. I was gonna say thing, massacre. You know, these things do happen, and you cannot pretend that they would never happen here, or they would never happen to you. I think it was written very respectfully. It felt truthful and honest. Obviously, I will never be able to comment on whether it is or isn't. So if you are Korean and you would like to leave your thoughts below, if you feel like you're comfortable to do so, that would be very interesting. I would love to hear that. There is a lot to be said about testimony and yeah, just like the sheer power of the written word. And like, yeah, of course reading is political. Of course books are political. Why do you think they ban and burn books? If books are not political, if books do not matter, if a book can't influence you, then why would they ban them? Why would they burn them? Like, some people just lack critical thinking. I'm going to do it again. Critical thinking skill. Some people genuinely do seem to lack critical thinking skills. And I do roll my eyes a lot. This like, oh, we're in an era of anti-intellectualism, like discourse. Like, I think that's... But when you hear people say stuff like that, I'm like, okay, maybe the people talking about the anti-intellectualism things are on something. People have invented the term anti-intellectualism when they mean willful ignorance. So that's Emma's hot take. Anyway, look at this adorable photo. That's Louis. Oh, that's me. And this is my mum's personal information, which I'm going to blur out because I'm an idiot. So yeah, that is, oh my God, the word vomit of like everything I've been thinking about for the last like 4 days. And now as a palate cleanser, I'm reading Cowboy Smut. So that, it's, what is it? It's called Reckless? You can say whatever you want about me, but you cannot say that I don't have range. Yeah, holy hell, that book was so much. So now I needed to read something which is like a bit like trashy. I just needed to like decompress. Okay, I'm making a dress for weather we do not have. But that's fine. That's fine. Also though, oh my God, I'm still not done. Like, people are like, oh, just let me read my little like sexy little romance books. Like, I don't want to be involved in politics. So most of those books are written by women. It's about very often like, you know, women's like pleasure, and it's about like female protagonists written by women for women, you know. A lot of these women who write these books, you know, are able to earn an independent living off that, you know, where that money will probably go into their own bank account. You were probably able to buy that book with your money because you were able to do so, and you don't have to ask a husband. Women writing is also a political act. Like, I'm sorry, why do people not understand these kind of things? Women, especially in the 19th century, the 18th century, going back, being a woman, being able to write, being able to sell your work was a way for women to get their own money in order to be independent of men. Like, the reason you are able to sit and mind your own business reading a spicy little romance book that's been written by a woman is because all of this political stuff that has happened. That's why you have the right to do so, because women before you have fought for it. That's why you have it. Like, this is a perfectly reasonable crash out. Just to all of these fantasy worlds, by the way, whenever you're reading like little fairy smut, like all of these worlds have politics built into them as well. Like, I kind of do despair, honestly. Like, they don't really need to be political. Bethany, you have the right to do this because of politics. Anyway, back to my, I was gonna say my trad wife hobbies. No, I am sewing because I care about the environment. I'm also sewing because it's now, I get to choose to do that. It is no longer forced upon me as women's labour, and also I think we should value it more, not just as women's work, but as a universally basic skill, because that is exactly what I think sewing is, so. Oh, is it? Jordan was like, let's strategize, so we started downstairs and at the back. There's only space for one book gremlin in this relationship, and I fear it may not even be me. That's why he wanted to be down here. I love those books. It's like my one reading vice. I've almost read 100 pages today. I was like, a smutty cowboy romance. It's like a pregnancy trope in that. And I was like, ugh. Like, do I want to read that? And then there's like a bunch of time skips, so I don't know, I read 100 pages today and I did not mean to do that, but that happened quite surprisingly fast. So I'm loath to admit how much I'm enjoying this, but you know, I'm enjoying it. But that's is it well written? No. Am I enjoying it? Yes. Who are you? Hello? Who are you? It's just so lovely. This is a perfect temperature. Do you want to be my vlog? Okay. Hello. Jade is thinking about starting her own YouTube channel about like movies and stuff. Yes. Yay. Editing Emma here. I just wanted to quickly interject. This is Jade. I produced her grad film and she recently put it online similar to me, and hers has done so well. I'm so super proud of her, so I will also link that down for you below if you want to go check that out. If you have watched my grad film and want to see some of like the other stuff I worked on. Very proud of her. Anyway, continue. It is a view, especially if you love being gaslit by the weather. Good evening. We're having dinner with some family friends. So I always bring us flowers, and me and Jordan is bringing wine. I've started reading The Bluest Eye. I'm glad I read the silly little cowboy smut, because if I back to back did Human Acts and then this, I would have depressed myself so badly. The palette cleansers of the silly stuff is recommended, beautifully written, quite intense. So I'm not even a quarter in yet, but oh my god. It's obviously crazy in terms of the like jump of like linguistic talent between like the silly little smutty romance I read and now reading Toni Morrison, you know, Nobel laureate in literature. Like, the difference in reading these books back to back is also just crazy. How some people just don't know how to write. Some people just really can't write. This is why you should read the good stuff, because if you learn to read the good stuff, you will actually improve your own writing. If all you do is read the same kind of books as ones in writing, and you don't read the good stuff, you will never be a good writer. You can never aspire to be so, because you haven't done your homework. So really interesting to read those two back to back, just because they're so different. So pretty. So lovely and green.
What were you saying?
I have a question for the vlog. What are these flowers?
The white scope.
You're colourblind, I don't want your opinion. That's lovely.
Burrito as well. Yeah. I got you one. Did it. Oh, you put it in your bag.
Yeah, I got it. Yeah, the butterfly. Ooh. Oh.
It's a moth.
That better not be a fucking moth.
I want them to land on my finger.
Do you know butterflies can remember being
What?
I just read, I think the worst bit, the crime that is mentioned at the beginning of the novel. You read what happens, and it's just not for everyone. If you DNF this book, I get it, but not for everyone. What's this? Another new leaf! Oh my god. I'm so excited. This is the second one this summer. That's amazing. This was the last one. Look how big it is. I'm very excited. Oh. And my flowers are also doing so nice. I love it.
Yeah.
What are you reading? Mum doesn't think it's good, so she's like trudging through it, so there you
It's
go.
very slow. I think the psychology of the characters is a bit.
We've been told. I'm in Bloomsbury, which is a very appropriate place to be while reading Woolf. So, you know, it's a connection to, you know, Erin Leonard Woolf and their publishing, and then the Bloomsbury group, Bloomsbury group is like then their friends, and then start publishing, and it's these kinds of houses in this area in sort of central London, but like sort of north central London, if that makes sense. And it's a beautiful, beautiful day. That smells crazy strong and crazy nice. I'm going to a friend's house now for some dinner. Oh, my fantasy book. Show them to me. So
Wait, what version is this? This is a penguin. No, it's
Very
both.
nice. Yeah, they're both penguin. So Emily wanted to show me the tome of books that she was choosing to read at the moment.
They're both very, very.
Why are you reading? I have so many questions. I haven't really given you a Mrs. Dalloway update yet, have I? I saw a TikTok that really made me giggle, which was about like, oh, you can tell this is written by AI because it has so many like dashes and parentheses and semicolons, and then they like close the book and it's just Jane Austen's Persuasion. This is exactly how I feel about Mrs. Dalloway. This woman could single-handedly keep dashes, semicolons and parentheses in print. They are everywhere. It's set in the middle of June. Today is middle of June as well. It's about a woman, her whole day in London as she reflects upon various parts of her life on a day that she's meant to give a dinner party. About 30 pages out of 170. Been reading this for a little while. I had to tell myself not to do the thing that I complained that I do, where I read like a page then put it down, read a page then put it down. That is such a horrible way to read a book. Emma, stop it. That ruins books for you, rather than, oh, the book's bad. It's not bad. You just read you have a bad reading habit. The first bit is Clarissa Dalloway. I didn't know what her first name was. Clarissa Dalloway walking to get flowers, and as she's walking through London, what's really interesting about like Woolf's like stream of consciousness and stuff is how she like swaps from point of view to point of view, and that is hard work. I will say, like, reading the first 10 pages was hard work. You'll start a sentence and it will start with one point of view and it will end in a different point of view in like a little different area of London, like the way that somebody might look up into the sky and then down when you're suddenly in someone else's head. It's very interesting, very fascinating. I have lived in London for 8 years and I was confused about where we were walking. She's walking in areas that I know really well, like near like St James's and like Piccadilly and stuff. I was there yesterday, for God's sakes. Like, I know that area really well. I was dead confused. So this ought to have a map in it. Really, this needs to have a map in it. I think that would have made a lot more sense, because I kept looking on Google Maps to try and like explain to myself where she was. It's very fun, but it is hard work, and that's as in like a native English speaker, so I can't imagine if like you're reading this and you've never like, it's hard, it's not easy. The point I'm at now, Clarissa is back in her home, and that stream of consciousness is a lot easier. I can imagine that some people struggle with that, but if you have ever made it through any of my videos, you'll be fine with stream of consciousness. Like that's not gonna be a problem for you. But yeah, when she's jumping between points of view in London, that was a bit confusing. But you just don't worry about trying to understand every single little thing. Just keep reading. So I'm really quite enjoying it, and obviously it's fun to be reading it like the same time of year that it currently is. And also for me, I obviously have that added treat of like, I have lived in London for almost a decade. I know it very well, so it's fun seeing it 100 years ago. One of my friends has read this, my friend Emily has read this and loves this book. So we were discussing like the London like omnibuses, and then my mum was saying that like omnibus is Latin for like for everyone. So then the idea that we get the word bus from omnibus, which then means for everyone. So I think that's like a fun little thing as well. And another thing that Emily told me, actually, because she studied this, I think she studied it at uni, was that one of her lecturers said that when you're reading the bit that is all the different points of views in London, like try and play a game and like underline where on the page you think the point of view changes, because yeah, I think there's something very fun about how she's been like slightly changes her language as well, and it feels, I don't know, it's very smooth and it feels almost very imperceptible, but like you still like, you know, if you just like jumping between person to person. And there's also apparently a really good BBC adaptation of Mrs. Dalloway. I'm not going to watch it till I finish reading this, obviously, but I have been told that that is good. So we know the BBC does good adaptations. Yeah, that's kind of where I'm at with this. I'm enjoying it. It's fun to read good language. That's kind of how I felt about The Bluest Eye as well. It's fun to read good language, but obviously The Bluest Eye is a lot more like intense. And yeah, I know I haven't really spoken about it very much because I don't know, I feel like it's kind of how I was feeling about the Aeneid, is like, what could I possibly have to like say and offer? But then I'll talk about Virginia Woolf like it's not a problem. But yeah, I mean, Morrison's writing is excellent. I look forward to reading The Beloved, which I will, I'm not gonna read it soon, but I definitely will. I will definitely read it. But yeah, with Morrison, like I haven't kept thinking about The Bluest Eye in the same way that I haven't kept thinking about Human Acts, because those are really heavy, they're really heavy stories. One is about a violent political suppression, a boy searching for his friend, a soul searching for his body, like, and then with The Bluest Eye, it's about a very, very poor black family and like one of the children getting raped and molested, and it's, yeah, that's also heavy, so you don't really keep like ruminating on it. And there is a really good argument to be said, like, why would you then read that kind of stuff? And I'm like, oh, because I need to know, you know, I need to know. And there's always the empathy argument you can make with reading, and reading especially about, you know, very different societies and times and peoples and stuff. And I think it's important to also like know that these things happen. And I think if you're going to read books about content that's really heavy, you should only ever read it written by a good author. Oh, good heavens, like don't ever waste any of your time and energy reading a book about terrible, horrible things that has not been treated, yeah, by a good author, because they will not treat it with dignity or respect. So, yeah, that's, there we go. That's something of somewhat value. But I think those books then become more difficult to talk about online because they are like so dark. Not that I can't say what they're about, but more that like what am I supposed to say? Yeah, it's like a really good representation of like a child being molested. Like, do you know what I mean? Whereas with Mrs. Dalloway, it's obviously a lot easier. I can be like, oh, the prose is just lovely. So, yeah, I don't know. There is something interesting then about being somebody, if like me, who, if I predominantly talk about classics, you know, things have already been said about all these books, versus somebody who's reviewing, you know, much newer stuff. But then also I can argue that there is value in me saying stuff because I'm like, you know, reminding people these books exist, and then also are they worth the hype? She says, commenting on 2 Nobel Prize winners' work. I have a couple of days left to finish reading this before June is out, and then July I have to read The Count of Monte Cristo. My boyfriend's already started asking me like, when are you going to start it? I'm like, soon, the 1st of July, darling, the 1st of July. Yeah, I don't know, I'm quite pleased that I've managed to read almost 4 books this month, and maybe I can make my way through that 1,200 pages of A Count of Monte Cristo. A lot of pages, and Emma's quite dyslexic. I'll probably check in with you guys properly again when I finish this. I also have no idea what I thought Mrs. Dalloway was about. Also, this cover sucks. I nicked off my mum, I think I said, but this cover just sucks. Like, this is not... No, there are much nicer editions available. Yeah, I don't know what I thought this book was about, because again, it's one that's talked about so often, it's mentioned so often, but you actually don't know what it's about. I think the Bluest Eye, which I kept thinking is Bluest Eyes. So I have questions as to why it's the Bluest Eye and not the Bluest Eyes. Ooh, but now I think about it, there probably is a lot to be said about Morrison in terms of like, the Bluest Eye, how, I mean, it's about beauty, ugliness, and then how it relates to blackness, and then how it relates to poverty as well. And I always think about that scene in the Twits where Roald Dahl is like, oh, if you have ugly thoughts, you'll become ugly on the outside. And if you have pretty thoughts, you'll be pretty on the outside. And I thought about that a lot while reading the book as well. Because, you know, humans fundamentally associate beauty with goodness and ugliness with badness. So yeah, I can imagine if you internalize that, that would really like fuck with you mentally, and then you would, yeah, feel like you deserve your poverty, I guess. Because if God did not give you beauty, maybe God does not believe you worthy of anything else. If you're also obviously looking for it for a Christian frame, which the book does. I'm sure many of you have a lot more succinct things to say about the Bluest Eye. Like, especially if any of you guys obviously are African American, because I'm clearly not, the same way I'm also clearly not Korean. I'm English enough to give you good thoughts on this, I promise. Not even English. Anyway, I've had many, you've literally just seen me here. This isn't even my house. I just keep crashing mum and dad's house because they have food. I have made dinner though. I come here and I make dinner. I'm making enchiladas and I just want the credit. I think I just want the credit for it. Ta-da! Wait for it. I mean, it is basically a sangria and sushi night.
Too hot.
It's far too hot. You can't see her, she's so dark. Hello. She looks... Laska! She looks... A lot from this angle, she looks starved as snot.
So is this good? Are you enjoying this book?
It's not high caliber.
Does it have smut in it though?
I don't know yet. It's pretty rubbish.
Okay, but are you enjoying it?
It's the cozy read I need right now in my life.
I mean, honestly, maybe when it's an imposing Provençal chateau. When you're done, I would like to maybe read that.
The crowd's
That's brilliant. Everybody. Oh, it's not. It's literally done.
I'd like to draw your attention to this really bizarre... Why is this traffic cone so artsy? What? Anyway.
I saw this in the Oxfam, so I got this for George. Excuse the hair, this is gosh, a new top, I love it. I'm gonna use it to like copy the pattern because it fits me quite well. He's currently reading this, which is Butcher's Crossing, and then it's by the guy who wrote Stoner, and then the guy who wrote, was it like Augustus? I'm going to mum and dad's now. My new camera is there. So hopefully that's enough of Emma vlogging on her fucking phone. We know I still will, but like, I can be optimistic. I'm so excited. I bought it because Zoella has it, so. Okay, I'm now at mine. I think my brother also has bought a bunch of books. I've got this. Jordan actually gave me a copy of this. He bought this, which honestly does sound very good. You can pause that to read if you fancy. He also bought an edition of Stoner, but he's got this like really nice vintage one. So yeah, he's also got Stoner, and then my brother likes a lot of travel writing and stuff. This looked really good if anyone is into that kind of stuff. Here's the blurb again if you want to pause that. I always kind of like want to read this stuff, but I worry I'd get, I know, stuck in it or bored. But yeah, so there you go. There's an extra little book haul there. Where did you come from? Oh no. Look, the scale, here's my foot. I have a fun Salvanian fact. Do you want my fun Salvanian fact? Salvania is Latin for from the woods. How good is that? Salvanians are therefore little from the woods. I love that so much. Did I also tell you that when my parents moved and sold our childhood home, she made me chuck out all my Salvanians? They're only like a little bit chewed on and like nibbled, so I don't know why she made me do that, but Anyway, our flight's at 4. I'm just running an errand. In this glorious blue sky. Who are you? I'm being reverse catfished by my own city. I don't really know what's going on. I know it's climate change, but just like, let's not fuel my climate anxiety more than I do it myself already, you know? Look, if the TSL, the Times Literary Supplement, says it's good, that is a recommendation I heed, okay? You all should. Did you want to say something?
How?
It's a 10.5-hour flight, so... This took a frickin' heck of a long time to read. So if you want to know maybe like some advice on reading this, don't read it in little chunks, because I felt like it would take me 5 pages to get into Woolf's style again of her prose, because it's so stream of consciousness, and you know, you're between these different people's point of views and their consciousness, and you're drifting in and out, and you don't really know always where you are. And so I really, I guess, caution you, try and read it in big chunks, because it's really difficult otherwise. On the plane, I think I read like, what, 70 pages, and that was a lot better because I could just try and march my way through it. But just like picking it up and putting it down, don't do that. I'll give you the same advice a lecturer once gave me regarding, you know, reading Joyce's Ulysses. If you for a moment put a book down, you will never pick it back up again. So I kind of feel that way about Woolf too. Don't put Mrs. Dalloway down. It will take forever for you to finish reading it. Which I kind of think is crazy, because I'm pretty sure I like consumed, like I inhaled Orlando. I inhaled that book and I thoroughly enjoyed it. I'm really like, pleased that I've read another Woolf. I read A Room of One's Own. I must have been 17 years old, so that maybe was 10. No, that would be 10 years ago now. Reading Woolf is hard, and I say that as English being like my first language. Yes, I'm also dyslexic, but like English is my first language, the language I've been educated in. I have an entire undergrad in comparative literature. I've studied literature. I even have a master's. Like, I'm very well educated, very competent. It's still super duper hard. So don't be shocked if you find this trickier. it is trickier. It's a really good one to then go into like look how to explain a video on YouTube and also let it go in terms of trying to understand every single word. It's not that she uses necessarily words that are so unbelievably difficult, but it's more that some of it just flitters a little bit in terms of, you know, it's not fully logical and reasonable, and that's kind of just how she writes, and that's kind of just part of the book, and it's just, you just keep reading, and if you're trying to make sense and understand every single word, you will never finish this book. Never. So you kind of got to let go of that a little bit, and then it'll be fine. Then it'll be very fine. I'm pleased to have read it, but Woolf is work. So just know that. But yeah, it's Count of Monte Cristo time. Finally! I've been telling you all that I'm going to read this for like months, and now the time has come. So wish me and my silly little 1,200 page book luck. Let's do this. I bet you I'll finish reading that in less time than it took me to read Mrs. Dalloway. I'm going to read an action novel now. Okay, let's go. Let's go read some action. Let's see how long this takes me to read. And I bought it 2023.
And there we are, that's everything I've been reading recently. I'm actually currently, as we speak, 1,000 pages into Count of Monte Cristo. So there may be a vlog about that on the way. But yes, stay tuned for that. Like, subscribe, and all that jazz. I probably would turn the bell on because God only knows when I'm going to post that video. But yes, thank you as ever so much for watching. Like, subscribe, and all that jazz. And I'll see you hopefully very soon. Goodbye.